Again, hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and I'm thrilled that you're taking time out in your busy day to spend it with me and my guest today. I'm thrilled to have this topic, which is the acting industry, actors, entertainment in general, film, television, you name it, to be able to follow the fabulous interview I had last week. And I have a very dear friend of mine who's traveled a long distance to be here in the studio, and I'd like to introduce my guest. His name is Tom Stratford. And Tom, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me come up. This is wonderful.
I really appreciate your time. I know that you came a far distance, but you were kind enough to do it, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Anything to come and see.
Let's go back to the beginning and introduce the viewer to you. Tell us your backstory. Where'd you come from? What are you doing now?
Well, I'm from New York. I was born in Manhattan, raised in New York, so I'm a true New Yorker. And I started doing theater when I was around 16. So I grew up in the Hudson Valley, so it was easy. There were a lot of accessible community theaters. Manhattan was a stone's throw away, so the arts bit me, and I started on a stage when I was 16.
And did you feel when you were in theater that that was your calling, or did you feel the industry itself of all the genres was where you were going?
Well, I figured out early that I was watching, I think it was a popular show called Welcome Back, Kotter with John Travolta. And all I knew is that that's what I wanted to do. Whatever he was doing, I was going to do it. And I was going to drop out of high school and go to California and be on a show, just like John Travolta. So I gave my mom a real good scare, because she's like, no, you're not. Why? How come I'm not going? Because you're just not. Well, why? Because you're not John Travolta. I was like, all right, well, that's not going to stop me anyway. So she had me join a community theater. And that's when I figured I can do this. The director liked my performance. I can do this. They laughed where it was supposed to be funny, and then I did another show. I did 3 shows in a row. And then I had to figure out from there how to get into the business.
Did you feel at that point in theater that you were ready to try something else? Was film calling you, television, anything else?
Well, I did want to do more. I wanted to find out more about film because I really didn't know much. And an actor that I was working with on stage had given me insight to the soap opera community as far as how to get involved with soap work. So I checked it out, and I realized that you had to be part of a union, which at that point was the American Federation of Film, Radio and Television Artists. So I immediately joined, and then I started to seek out work, and I was getting little parts for VH1, USA cable networks. They were all doing these little comedy segments in between their programming. And I was fortunate enough to get into them. One, I worked with Gilbert Godfrey. There were a couple of other ones that I did for many different cable stations. So I started to get involved in television. And then next thing I knew, I was figuring out how to do background work. And I started to do background work. And one of the first movies that I worked on was called Cadillac Man, which is where I met you.
That's right. That's right.
And at that point, you just start to kind of like look around, and you see, you know, the other people that are around you, other performers. You get an idea of what's going on, how long the day is, what the cameras are doing, who's doing what, who's what, you know, all, you just kind of like observe it all. So that's what I started to do, was to like notice everything. And then the next step was to keep working. The next step was to join Screen Actors Guild. So there were quite a few mountains to climb.
And I know that we have many aspiring actors that are watching us today and are thrilled for this interview. I read on your website, which is tomstratford.com, that you had 2 different acting coaches. Are they important in grooming someone to be able to pursue the industry?
Well, they are. In fact, the first acting coach that I had was when I was like 17 or 18, and she specialized in burlesque and comedy scenes and improvisation. So one of the first training classes that I had was improvisation, and that is so important in this business because it gets you through. You can get out of a sticky situation if you've got some background in improv. So I was thrilled, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I just learned it. And as I went on, I figured that's the best thing to do. First, get on a stage, see whether you got what it takes to do it, study improv, and then I took on a private acting coach where we studied Hamlet. We studied all sorts of plays, and I read all books that she had me read as far as kind of getting your spirit together, kind of figuring out how you're going to make it through the business. It was all just kind of like a spiritual awakening, which broadens your thinking process, which is what you have to do in this business as well.
I think this is a perfect time to be able to take a moment to go through the pictures that you sent me, which
you have pictures?
Oh, I do. And if possible, let's do a gallery of the pictures, and then let's also see what your thoughts are about what we're seeing. What are we seeing now?
That was Royal Pains, and that was, we filmed that on Long Island in some beautiful mansions on Long Island, and that was a 1920s pool party at one of the main characters' homes, and that was my date for the day.
And the next?
30 Rock. Actually, that was the pilot for 30 Rock, and doing that pilot, it got me my SAG card.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so amazing to have that moment to get the Screen Actors Guild card.
Yeah, and that was the show that got it for me. I love Tina Fey. She's awesome. She's a great woman. She really is very cool.
And the next one?
Oh, Boardwalk Empire. I was one of Gyp Rossetti's thugs, and I was on for the whole season, and that was us going to do some damage.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the next one?
Oh, that was the Nick, which was a series that ran for 2 seasons, and it dealt with a hospital called the Knickerbocker in Lower Manhattan at the turn of the century. And I guess I did some damage to somebody. I don't remember how that went, but I was mad.
And the next one?
Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
I did, actually the last job I did this year was Saturday Night Live back in March, and that was before the pandemic started and before it brought us where we are now. But that's a fun show to work on. That's an awful lot of fun.
And do we have another one? Oh, there we go.
Oh, that was a show called You, and that was filmed in my hometown. I only had to walk like 2 blocks to get to work that day. That was an easy commute, and it was all period. I love period stuff.
Yeah.
Love period work.
I know you do.
Yeah, yeah. So that was fun.
Are there any others? Oh, here's a good one.
That's Boston. That got me to Boston to do Little Women that just came out. Greta Gerwig's production of Little Women, and I was Frederick's buddy. Nice. That was a nice.
Any others?
Shoot.
Oh, here we go. I asked you about this before in the lobby.
Yes,
what was that?
Yes, so that is from Clifford the Big Red Dog, which is going to be out, I think, in November, this November. And that's that monkey, I want to say her name is Elaine. I think it's Elaine. I'm sorry if it's not. Is about 20-something years old and works on all these movies. And I got to work with her as Mr. Bridwell, John Cleese's assistant. And yeah, got to pose and hang out with the monkey. What can I tell you?
Well, the pictures are just wonderful and show a wonderful array of things that you've been able to do, which I'm thrilled. And of course, there's probably a gazillion more that we could see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's happening in today's world with COVID-19 and the pandemic. How are you and what's going on?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm fine. Knock on wood, my family's fine. Everybody's good. But it's taken a toll on the community. Sadly enough, Broadway is not scheduled to go back until the 21 season, 2021. All these wonderful folks that I know and appreciate their art form are waiting. Actors, carpenters, lighting, makeup, hair, all these beautiful people now are, just without work. The film industry as well, and the television industry. So we're all on hold right now. And we'll see what happens. If New York State stays on a good level where it's at, we might possibly be able to open some stuff up in August. Now that's a rumor. I don't know, if it's going to happen or not. But I don't know. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to hear how things are going to work out and how soon we can get back. I miss it. I miss it to pieces.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
When did it stop for all of you?
My last day was, I don't know the exact date, I think it was the 3rd week of March, and it was Saturday Night Live. That was the last job I did. And it was right after that I was supposed to start work on another project, for like a 4-month project. And it's all on hold. Everything's on hold now. What
are you hoping when things get better that your next job will be? Do you want to do period work? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, I'll do. I won't do anything, but I mean, we'll see what the offers are. Right now, I'm writing a book, and I'm in the process of getting that finished, along with a co-author. And I have my production company. I want to start a documentary that we've written out. I want to start production on that in the very near future. So I've got plans, and whatever work. When they call and they say, "Are you ready to come back?" Yes, I am. Yes, indeed.
Tell me about the book.
So the book is called Introducing Zeta, and it is about a wonderful actress, the name of Zeta Johann, who was one of my acting coaches, who taught me Hamlet and all these wonderful other readings. And she was very big in Broadway, on Broadway, at the same time with Helen Hayes, and she also was in The Mummy with Boris Karloff. She had the run of the mill. They were giving her carte blanche because they loved her speaking voice. I met her in her 60s, and she was already retired from the business, and she would tell me these wonderful stories. She had written a book and a screenplay, and I had read them both, and we were studying from the script and from the screenplay, and she had taken on some traveler onto her property and let him live in her guest house. And at one point, he disappeared with her book and the screenplay, which were the only 2 copies that she had. Her agent had died, all of the people in her life had passed away, and this person made off with her writings. And about a year later, she passed away. A year after that, I saw her work show up on one of the networks as a new series. And then my investigating skills come in, which really, I'm no Perry Mason, but I know when something's not right. So I do some research to find out who and what happened with her stuff. So it's a whole story about her, my interaction with her, and then my kind of detective work on finding her work and bringing it back to light. It's a great story. It's really very cool.
How far into this book are you at? Is it ready to go to the publisher?
Not yet ready to go to the publisher. My co-author on this, he just was handed a big project, like a crazy big project, Hollywood project, and they seeked him out. And so that became front of the pile for him. Of course, I understand. So we've got, I think, another 3 chapters. So they're almost done on my end, and then they go to him, and then we work together and we put it all together, and then it goes to the publishing house. So it's a process.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I'm very excited, yeah. I can't wait to put up on my website some inserts from it, but I can't do that right now.
And I think what we're going to do is just take a break, and we'll be right back. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Get it. Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it. Get it! Get it!
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. So glad you're spending your day with me. I really appreciate it. Today we're talking about the acting world, the entertainment industry, and I have today as my guest Tom Stratford, who's been kind enough to come visit us today. And thank you again for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me again.
Now let's talk about the website. I love it and it's informational. What will people find when they go to tomstratford.com?
So on my website is my history in the getting involved in the business, my clips, one of which I did this movie called Brutal Massacre, and that was done in 2008. And Stephen Mena is the director, and it's the comedy. It's a comedy about the making of a horror movie. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong. And so all of a sudden, after all these years, he's releasing it on Blu-ray, and all of a sudden it's become popular again. There's clips of it all over Facebook and all over the internet promoting the Blu-ray disc. And so many comments, so many people are just finding it again, and those that have followed Stephen and are fans of his work are so thrilled to see it out on Blu. And I'm laughing, I'm like, dude, everything that's old is new again, and here we go, and I'm just delighted. So there's clips of that, there's a couple of other clips, the Boardwalk Empire clip is on there. Yeah, it's a cool site, some photos, there's a photo gallery.
The photo gallery.
Yeah.
And your history in theater.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the website, why don't we go straight to the clips so that people will be able to see.
You have a clip?
Yes, I have a clip. And if we can, let's play that clip now.
I didn't know you had a clip.
Arthur,
Harry.
how you doing?
Good, good. What a surprise.
Sit down and join us.
I can't. I've got my driver waiting outside.
Always first class. Hey, what brings you out here?
Actually, we just wrapped on a picture I'm doing about the Civil War.
Oh, I read about that. Some big names.
Yes, yes. And well, how about you? Are you still running around to all of those horror movie conventions?
You're looking good.
Yes, my wife has me on a new regimen of seafood and fine wine. It's delivered to the house every morning, ready to eat. She's into that kind of thing. She would be pissed off if she knew I was eating at a place like this.
You still out on the West Coast?
Yes, part of the year, yes. It was very nice seeing you both. Natalie.
Arthur?
You always have been a glutton for punishment, haven't you? Take my card. Call me. I can always use a good production person.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. Again, I'm your host, Deborah Gilbert, with my guest, Tom Stratford. Tom, that was a great, great clip. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm not a nice guy. That's not a nice guy. Actually, it was a lot of fun. We filmed that in Pennsylvania. And the story revolves around Harry Penderecki, who is a filmmaker on his last chance. This is his last chance to make it. And it's David Naughton who plays Harry Penderecki, and I play Arthur Benjamin. And the two of us kind of came up in the production world at the same time. Arthur hit it big. Poor Harry, he was doing stuff, but nothing was really making the grade for him. So this is his last chance. And when we run into each other, he thinks, oh my gosh, here's my buddy. Maybe he can, Arthur just basically has no time to talk to poor Harry. But Arthur gets his comeuppance in the end. And it's the story of the making of a horror movie. And like I said, anything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Now, this clip, you're hoping that they may make a Brutal Massacre 2. Is that your hope?
I don't know. It would be wonderful. That was another thing that watching it come back to life after 11 years, 12 years now, thinking, well, I'm sure Stephen wouldn't say no if he, had the opportunity to make another brutal massacre. And yeah, I'd be on board in two seconds. Yeah, I'd say yes. There's the answer.
Tell us about the production company. I'd love to learn about that.
So my production company is Stratford on Hudson, SOH, and what I focus on is the history of film and television and theater. It's an important issue. I think anyone that gets involved in the arts should really know the research and the stories of how the business started. And I take on everything from Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey to Fort Lee, New Jersey, and then the whole Lansky Trail clear across the country to Hollywood in the very early, late 1800s to the very early 1900s. It's just a fascinating story. It's a great journey. There's so much history. I mean, if you think about just one movie in general, just pick any movie, it depicts fashion, it depicts location, it depicts the era of time that's going on. So we are encapsulating history with every movie that's being made. So it's important to take care of our film projects and make sure that people can educate themselves.
With the production company itself, is it going to be in film form? Is it going to be in television? Is it going to be in book form? What are you hoping for?
The production company is hosting the book that I was talking about, Zeta. There's also a future project for a 99-seat state-of-the-art theater that I want to build that will show classic movies, live performances, art galleries, anything to do with the arts. Also working on a documentary, and there's also a script for a treatment and a script for a television sitcom. So there are projects that I have under the umbrella of the production company and hoping to get working on after the book, the documentary. So I've got some work to do.
Now, will you still stay as an artist, as a working actor, and this?
Oh,
or?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely both. Yeah, I mean, you just can't shake it. It is what it is. There's no business like show business, and once you're in, you can take a vacation from it, but it doesn't go away. So I embrace it.
What does your future hold for you? Granted, we've mentioned several things. What are you hoping 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line?
I would be able to produce my own projects at that point. Yeah, within. We'll see. I mean, it's a crazy business. You never know from day to day what's going to happen. One day, it's like what do they say? You're flying high in April and shot down in May. It's a crazy. But you never know what to expect. You just gotta be. You gotta have your ducks in a row to a certain point. You gotta keep the faith, and you have to. You have to believe in yourself, and just don't be surprised, because you just never know what's going to happen. You never know when that phone rings what they're going to tell you, what they're going to ask you for. And, it's kind of like keep the faith.
It's a perfect moment to talk to people of all ages out there who are thinking about pursuing an acting career. What would your advice be to them?
Well, get involved, and whether it's a community theater, whether it is your local church organization that does choirs, just make sure that you have what it takes to be on a stage, and that's where you really can focus on your vocals. You can focus on your memorizational skills, staging. All of that is important, and once you've got that under your belt, then you can tackle film and television, but you really kind of have to study the stage, know your history, know what those that went before you did,
right?
And not just on the stage, not just actors, but producers, directors. You watch stuff. There's a history behind everybody that has made something, and it's amazing, what you can learn. And I think you learn a lot from it. I know I learned a lot from the history. It helped me develop who I am as a character actor. If not for the history, I would not have been able to develop myself. And everyone has developed since Shakespearean times.
Right.
You know, everybody has created from that and developed into who they are. So learning, just keep learning, keep doing it.
And along with that process comes an acting coach or finding the right person to help you along?
Oh, sure. I think that once you decide that you're in it and you're going to be doing it, you have no choice but to study, and you will study with an actor. You're taking acting classes. The more people that you get to know in the business, the more opportunities that come to you. And then it's up to your personal comfort zone on who it is that you want to study with, where you find you're going to get the most to further your possible work in the business. So.
Well, we are coming slowly to a close. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave with the viewers today?
You mean we're done? We're not. I'm not leaving.
We just have a few seconds left.
Oh, okay, all right. No, it was just delightful to see you. It really was, and thank you for having me here.
I know, we haven't seen each other in a long time. It's like we haven't.
Let's do lunch.
We are going to do
Okay.
lunch. Yes, my treat.
All right. Okay.
And again, if you would like to reach Tom, he's located at tomstratford.com, and he'd be more than happy to talk to you about any kind of project that you're looking to do. So I thank you very much for being here today.
Oh,
really,
thank you.
It's been great.
It has been. It really has. This was a delight. Yeah, I'll come back anytime.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert. We'll see you again next time.